the sale price. Nothing new, nothing considered inappropriate at all from this kind of behavior. Number 3, China has half its economy owned and operated by the government. And the government in China has always seen itself as trying to take advantage of what private capitalism can achieve, but then have the government come in and do the things private capitalism can't or won't do, but that are needed if the society is going to grow and prosper. That's a crucial part of what the Chinese mean by socialism with Chinese characteristics. So they come in and they do that. And one of the things they do is encourage overcapacity of all kinds of
大家好，今天继续为大家带来美国马克思主义经济学家理查德·沃尔夫回应节目的下半部分内容。本期完整主题是来自中国的竞争产能过剩的迷思。在上篇视频里，沃尔夫反驳了西方流传已久的错误观点，戳破中国名义社会主义、实际纯资本主义的片面说辞，阐明公私结合体制是我国快速发展的核心根基。而下篇他将聚焦当下欧美舆论反复炒作的核心争议点，所谓中国产能过剩低价倾销的指控，用基础规模经济学原理、中美民生产业对比，完整拆解这套双重标准话术。理查德·沃尔夫深耕经济研究数十年，常年在美国高校授课，长期剖析资本主义经济固有的短板，从不盲从西方媒体统一的反华论调。他没有主观站队吹捧，而是依托全球各国工业化历史、市场运行底层逻辑客观分析，直白点出发达国家发展时期同样依靠扩大产能，压低单品成本抢占全球市场。他还会对比中美住房建设、政企分工模式，解释中国政府主动前置布局产能的民生意义，区分良性产业扩张与西方刻意抹黑的恶意过剩。前面我们看完上篇，理清了中国经济体制底层逻辑，下面一起来看下篇，彻底揭穿西方指责中国产能过剩背后的真实动机。
And the Chinese are smart enough to say, let's build capacity beyond what we need now to get the advantage of a lower cost per unit. That's the economy of scale issue. And then make use of that by offering lower sale prices. We still make a profit because our costs are lower, and we bring purchasing from the public to us because we're offering a sale price. Nothing new, nothing considered inappropriate at all from this kind of behavior. Number 3, China has half its economy owned and operated by the government. And the government in China has always seen itself as trying to take advantage of what private capitalism can achieve, but then have the government come in and do the things private capitalism can't or won't do, but that are needed if the society is going to grow and prosper. That's a crucial part of what the Chinese mean by socialism with Chinese characteristics. So they come in and they do that. And one of the things they do is encourage overcapacity of all kinds of products. And this may surprise Americans, but it shouldn't. What's the logic here? Well, in a capitalist system, we don't expect the capitalists to invest money to produce things in advance of the market, and they usually don't. They wait for there to be a demand, to be a market, before they take the risk, they will explain, of investing money. So what tends to happen is demand rises and then the supply follows. But that's not necessarily the best way to go. Why not? because it means that for long periods of time, when the demand is there, it takes the capitalists quite a while to recognize how much profit they might earn, to then make the investment, and then to wait months or years before the output flow. During that time, prices go crazy because the demand is high and the supply is not yet available. To give you a simple example, for the United States today, we have record high rentals for apartments. Why? Because the companies that build homes haven't been building them to meet the growing demand. They're waiting for the demand to go up slowly because that drives up the price. Because for them, the higher the price, the more profit they can make when they finally decide it's not too risky to begin building housing again. Meanwhile, for years, millions of people are frozen out of adequate living space. They're paying way too much, which is the condition in the United States. By contrast, China is famous. If you visit there now, they will take you around and they will show you entire villages, entire portions of cities where there are apartment buildings largely or sometimes even totally empty. They build ahead of the demand. They want to make sure that their working class have apartments when they're ready to move, when the demand arrives. They help the demand meet the already created supply. Private individuals, private capitalists won't take those risks, but the government will. It's a way of serving the people. Housing costs in China are therefore much lower than they are in the United States. And there's nothing odd or weird about it. In fact, let me bring this to a close by showing that the very role of the government, and remember, if the government is in production, which it is for half of the Chinese economy, they're not required to make a profit. They're not a private competitive business. That's in the private capitalist sector. There they compete. There are a dozen car companies in China right now competing to make electric vehicles. We don't have that kind of competition in this country. It's long gone, having large numbers of car companies. We had it once, 100 years ago, but not now. All of that has been driven out. The Chinese have competition in the private sector. The government's job is to do what the society needs and wants that the private sector can't get to. You know, we even have a little of that here in the United States. It's not privately profitable to have a mail system that goes into every little village, every corner of this large country. So we have the government do that. We allow the private companies, you know them, UPS, FedEx, the others, to pick off, cherry pick the profitable part, the packages, the delivery overnight, things like that. But the basic core of a postal system, which this country needs to hold us all together, that we give to the government. And that's what the government does. All the Chinese have done is said, that's a really good idea. And they said it when they made their revolution back in 1949. And they said it when the issue arose, what's the most important thing the people of China want? And the answer was an almost unanimous cry, we want to stop being one of the poorest countries on the face of the earth, which they were 75 years ago. Get us out of this situation. We want the income, the jobs, the education, the health care, to lead good, normal, productive human lives. If there's a private capitalist way of doing some of that, fine. But that's what we want as the priority. And the government said the only way to get that done is if you limit the private capitalist sector to what they can do best. And we, the government, will do the rest. We'll make sure that the housing gets built, that the railroads get built, that the things that private capitalists either don't do or charge too much for or wait too long to do, we'll make sure that doesn't happen. And here we are, 2026, able to look back at the last 30 to 40 years. And what do we see? The Chinese system has developed that country, the second largest in the world, and not that much less than the number one, which is now India. What we see in China is the most spectacularly successful economic development in the world. Not a minor argument to make that charging them with quote-unquote overcapacity is a pretty lame way to justify the fact that you're losing the competition, that the Chinese have figured out a mixture of public and private, much more successful in achieving the priority goals of that society than anybody else has yet figured out how to do. And instead of learning from what they've done, making sure we all know what is going on there, what we have instead is a lame propaganda war that heaves at them many very inappropriate and silly accusations. And the worst of it is, it's a way to prevent Americans from learning from a society and an experience that has a great deal to teach us. That's why it was important to expose the myth of overcapacity in China. If interventions like these strike you as useful, then please share this video, with your friends, neighbors, family, co-workers. That's why we produce them. And let me appeal as well, for those of you who can afford to throw a little cash our way to help pay the costs of producing and distributing these videos, please consider doing that. Very easy. Just go to our website, democracyatwork.info, and all the ways of doing it will be at your fingertips. Thank you.
看完本期下篇完整内容，相信大家和我一样，能清晰看透欧美炒作中国产能过剩这套说辞的真实本质。西方政客和媒体如今张口闭口指责我们产能过剩，可沃尔夫用最简单的规模经济常识就点破了其中的双标。过去200年，欧美所有工业化强国崛起的核心手段，就是依托本国人口形成大规模产能，降低商品成本，向全世界输出产品。那时候从来没有国家站出来指责他们无序扩张、恶意倾销。放到中国身上，依托14亿庞大国内市场做大产业规模，降低生产成本，参与全球公平竞争，反而被扣上产能过剩的帽子。说到底，只是西方在产业竞争中优势不在，找出来掩饰失利的借口。很多人看完视频会疑惑，为什么只有中国敢于提前建设大量产能，甚至出现阶段性闲置产能？这里就要分清两种体制下资本和政府完全不同的形式逻辑。纯粹资本主义市场里，私人资本只追逐短期利润，绝不会在需求尚未显现时提前投入重资产建设。就像视频里举的美国住房例子，开发商刻意放缓建房速度，人为制造房源短缺，抬高房租，最后普通民众承担高额生活成本，大量底层群体缺少充足住房保障。而中国特色社会主义体系下，政府会承担私营资本不愿做、不敢做的长期投入，提前布局产业、住房、基建产能，哪怕短期存在闲置，也是为了未来百姓的民生需求、产业升级做好铺垫，最终压低全社会生活生产成本，受益的是全体普通人。这是纯粹资本主义国家很难做到的。沃尔夫还提到一个关键细节，我国民营市场充分竞争， 光是电动汽车行业就有10几家本土企业同台比拼，充分的市场竞争持续倒逼技术迭代，同时公有经济把控长线民生，基础产业公司各司其职，互相补充，不存在资本垄断裹挟社会的情况。反观美国，多数成熟行业早已形成寡头垄断，本土市场内部缺少激烈竞争，产业创新活力逐步下滑。西方刻意回避这套体制差异，单纯拿产能过剩攻击中国产业，本质是不愿承认一种不同于西方私有制的发展道路能够取得成功。他们默认全球只有单一资本主义发展模式，一旦有国家走出全新道路并且实现超越，就通过舆论抹黑、贸易壁垒加以限制。我们也要客观看待产能扩张这件事。我国阶段性部分行业产能富余，一方面是超大内需市场带来的天然优势，另一方面也是国家统筹规划保障产业安全、稳定民生的主动布局，和西方口中恶意低价倾销有着本质区别。欧美早年对外商品输出同样长期低价抢占市场，这套发展路径全世界通用，唯独对中国设置双重评判标准。结合上下2篇完整内容就能发现，西方抹黑中国经济的2套核心话术，不管是中国是假社会主义，还是中国产能过剩破坏全球市场，逻辑上全都存在巨大漏洞，支撑观点的论据十分片面，刻意忽略中外体制、市场体量的根本差异。沃尔夫作为美国本土学者，跳出本国固化舆论框架，客观剖析，更能让我们看清国际舆论场背后的竞争博弈。这也提醒我们，以后再看到各类指责中国产业经济的外媒报道，不要被表面说辞带偏，学会用基础经济规律、各国发展史实分辨背后的偏见与算计。上下2篇内容完整拆解了西方2大主流反华经济论调，把中国特色社会主义公私协同模式、规模经济优势、政府民生统筹职能全部梳理清楚。如果这期系列视频让你收获新的思考，欢迎点赞、转发给身边亲友，一起理性看懂国际经济舆论。大家对于产能过剩、中美经济对比有不同看法和疑问，都可以在评论区留言，我会逐条认真阅读回复。记得持续关注本频道，后续还会带来更多海外客观学者深度解读中国发展的内容。我们下期再见。